The all-new Volkswagen Tiguan, different versions, on-road and off-road test. That is today on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars with me, with Thomas. It will be a very special episode because we're showing you a wide variety of the capabilities of the car. We have tested it so far up in the north on the snow. Later on also check out that review because it's a different focus. It will be linked in the video description. Today we're in Berlin, the German capital, where we test a car in the city, in the traffic, which will be a lot of the purpose of this car definitely. But we'll also have an off-road parcours and pick a different vehicle for that one. Why? We're going to explain you all the differences on and off-road in exterior, interior, and of course the driving experience. So it's now go with Autogefühl in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. Now take a look at the design. The special thing about the front is it is really clean and seamless, especially through the horizontal lines we have here, and they cleverly lead up to the headlights. It's one of my favorite design features here. And if you now think about the Mazda CX-5 or the Hyundai Tucson, they lay around a little bit more joyful design. This is more the very elegant and clean design. That's the difference in the design. Also, what I like, the strong accentuations on the hood we have here. Has some kind of a sports car, although it's definitely an SUV, of course. And if we then move on to the side profile, 4 meters and 48 of length with a 5-seater version. See, there's a short overhang. Also got this off-road accentuation right here. You don't have to pick that. 20-inch alloys, really huge, and they really look great. And what I can already tell you so far, I was so surprised, still has a great riding comfort in the city, so I wasn't really bothered by the big wheels. But maybe I would advise you to go for 19-inch, then you can go sure. Design line at the height of the door handles, that's obviously a good thing. And here we play with light and shadow a little bit. This one has been stronged up in the all-new generation and makes the car definitely way sharper than the previous generation. And well, the previous generation was mainly bought because it was a practical car, great price performance. This car here will also now be bought because people want exactly that design. The rear highlight are those 3D taillights. As you can see, they really go right in there. And again, is this very sharp design scheme. And I really liked it because Tiguan needed to be more modern, definitely. And you can see we don't lose too much trunk in behind here, then we can take a look at that very soon. Overall, of course, it has kind of resemblance with all of the other Volkswagen family cars. Let's take a look beneath the hood. 2-liter TDI here, but of course we have a petrol and diesel range. Horsepower range is about 120 to 240 horsepower. Get 4 different petrol engines, 4 different TDIs there. And the entry versions, front-wheel drive. The middle versions, optional all-wheel drive, and the top versions, so about 180 horsepower, they are then combined with the all-wheel drive automatically, and the top version is also combined to the DSG, the dual clutch transmission. In the entry versions, you can also start with a manual gearbox then. That's it about the engines. And one very interesting thing about the hood, because with the Tiguan they have improved about the assistance system and the safety system. And good is that when you have a front crash, the hood is like here, not that way, but that way, is lifted about 5 centimeters up. That if you crash onto it, you get a little damper, and that's a good safety system for people just running in front of the car. That might happen. And also you get the autonomous emergency brake from the standard equipment here, finally, and that's also a very good thing. Now let's take a look at the interior, because that is the one that is really differentiating this car to its competitors. Starting with the door test details here. The sound sounds solid. And that's better, for example, in the Mazda CX-5 or the Hyundai Tucson. Those details are the ones that really make the difference here for the car, if that's important to you, of course. Also here we got a very elegant style in the interior. Everything has been rebuilt, but the main style, of course, of the Volkswagen Corporation has been kept. Very clean, very elegant. A lot of details also comparable to the Passat, for example. It's the MQB building platform here, and therefore they also share a lot of parts, of course. Special focus to the seats. I would go for that mix here. Microfiber cloth on the inside, a little bit harder cloth on the outside. Still accentuated, you got a lot of side support here as well, but they are really very comfortable, and they have especially worked on the seat that the seating area also has a better resistance in the parts where you have, for example, where there's more pressure on the seat. And also the seat has been made lighter, so you can also save weight with the seat, for example. Check out those parts, the panels on the inside of the doors and also the door handle. This is really premium quality. We're not in the premium segment, not in the premium price, but everything looks and feels premium. Even the plastic parts, they are not hard plastic as we see in the Hyundai Tucson. They're a little bit softened up, and it feels better and also just looks better here. And especially all the silver frames that have been used. It more reminds me of the Audi cockpit, definitely. So not a premium price, but you get the premium quality, and that's the main difference to the other competitors. The other competitors have also, good concept in controlling the car, kept very simple, but this one here, the interior look and feel, that is the one that the Tiguan leads also to the competitors and can even keep up with the premium competitors. Of course, there are other stuff, where the others maybe have some good things, but that's the main focus here of the Tiguan. The seating position again, you can adjust it manually in the height. We go again, front and back, and also the back part. If you want the electric version, it's also available. There's also the special Ergo Comfort seat available. But this one here already is really a very good seat, starting about with a middle trim level. You have to go for that, but that's perfectly fine. If you pick the Tiguan in middle trim level, you almost have everything you have. Later on, we'll also talk more about the infotainment system. And the seating position is of course upright, as we would expect it for an SUV, and you're really sitting quite high, especially in the all-wheel drive version. And if you compare it to the other cars, for example, also again the Hyundai Tucson or the Mazda CX-5, there you more have a normal passenger car feeling. You don't sit that high. It's a good transition from a normal car to an SUV if you're doing that for the first time. But if you really appreciate the very high seating position, then the Tiguan is way to go. Let's get in the rear. And this is a part where they've especially worked on in comparison to the previous generation. We have more space, especially more knee space. And also the table has been fixed. If you look at our very old Tiguan review, it's really a very loose table. This one here has been also kept quite straight. And you can also have a retractable beverage holder right here. well, for this bottle here, not the best solution, but overall for your kids, why not? You see, I got the seat as I would be driving, and wow, there's plenty of knee space. And I mean, compare it to other cars. Here we have good usage of the space inside comparison to the lengths we have on the outside. This kind of knee space I have in the BMW 7 Series. Just a remarkable thing. Headspace wise, there's still that kind of space above my head if the panoramic roof is installed. If it's not installed, there would be even more, but here with 119 meters, it will still fit. If you're above 119 meters, don't go for the panoramic roof. As the rear bench is right now, I'm kind of leaning backwards a little bit, but that's no problem because I can adjust it a little bit by pulling a strap next to me, and I can also sit more upright here also in the rear. That's a very good solution because it's the same mechanism to flip the whole bench again. This one here gives you a very comfortable and upright position here also in the rear compartment, and especially here you really have more space. Also, we got the same seat design here overall in the front. Really high class again, I like that. Beverage holders here on the inside are available, and you can also really see that it is a 2/3, 1/3 split. And 18 centimeters, you can move the bench in the front or into the back again. Here, of course, it's not really fitting, but I mean, if you don't have really tall people, you can move it in the front. And then the trunk will rise from about 520 liters to 610 liters. Maybe it was 510 to 620, but that doesn't really matter. So about 500 liters and about 600 liters, depending on if you move it 18 centimeters in the front or in the back. And again, a versatile solution. And now I can also show you how the bench is flipped totally. This is here the strap. You could just pull it and then move the front, and then you always see here got an even space to the rear. And it's also possible to put it that way. For example, use it as a ski hatch only and have two people sitting right here. So another versatility. And this part, yeah, I can also flip it from here, but there's also another mechanism right in the back. Let's see the first overview with luggage inside, how much you can approximately fit in there. And then I put the stuff out that you can see more of what we have here. I've put up the rear bench again, that you can see the flipping process, because that's a good solution. You can flip it from the inside, but also here from behind. And there's another one. Well, maybe help a little bit, and here as well. And then that's it. Even loading space in here. What's beneath here? Well, optionally, I think you can also get a replacement tire. Here it's not in there, so we've got some more space in there. And nice features here. 230 volt power supply. That would be for the German market especially, or you can use an adapter to have really good power in here. And we know that from Skoda. We got a torch, small torch in here. You can also retract it, and well, maybe good camping use then as well. More luggage space than before, as I've told you, and also especially the legs, because the previous generation of the Tiguan, a lot of people say, I can't go for the Tiguan. Trunk is not long enough. That one is fixed now. And then let's take a look at the central display, active info display. It's called at Volkswagen, virtual cockpit at Audi, just over 12 inch. And you can see we have the RPM digital left, right, the speed. You can change it around just a little bit. For example, make it bigger. We have the GPS at the moment on the inside part. You do not have to go for the digital screen, that is extra. You can also just go with the classic analog instruments. Do you really need this one? No, you don't. But it's of course very fancy and a very clear display, definitely. You can also display consumption in the middle, for example, which was 7 liters around for this 2-liter TDI. Also the range now at the right part. And you can also get your music in there, your audio info from the Apple CarPlay. So you really have a good possibility to change that one around, or also for the vehicle status or the assistance systems we have here. There's the adaptive cruise control, For example, in here also the ACC and lane assist, all of the assistance systems we have here. For a digital screen, it's really a nice and fancy solution, definitely. Also, for example, the off-road views, you can control it with the steering wheel, and we'll show you that one in the off-road mode as well. You can check the angle, how the wheels are turned, and also there's a compass on the right side. A lot of possibilities, but it's an option you could leave out if you want to save money. Welcome to another ride in the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. That beep, by the way, the boss says that the recognition of traffic signs is limited. Maybe it has something to do with the road here. So I'm always going to explain you when the car is doing some beeping sounds. So we're heading right into the traffic of Berlin, German capital. And of course, when you're riding a car, especially inside the city, a lot of that is about traffic. So I'm really looking forward how this engine will perform here and the car in general, of course. We're riding the diesel, this part here. It's the 190 horsepower diesel. In our previous all-new Tiguan review, we're from the 150 horsepower diesel. Both the 2-liter diesel, yes, the famous one, but the new build. And this one here even stronger, also in combination with all-wheel drive, because no matter if you go for petrol or the diesel engine, if you have the all-new Tiguan in the higher specs, it's always about beginning 180 horsepower is always combined then with the DSG and also with the all-wheel drive. So when riding in city, you don't really realize that it's an all-wheel drive because you're not really pushing the car that hard and it's not going loose on the ground, especially today as we have a dry situation. So that's not really the crucial point of that one here. However, of course, we do hear and feel the diesel. The petrol engine is still a little bit calmer, and if you hammer it like on the mid RPM levels, then you do feel a little bit of this typical diesel sound. But it's relatively silent. And I've also brought a dB meter app on my smartphone. And right now when we're standing still, and let's be silent for just 1 second. Yeah, about 50 dB. It's about 50 dB when we're just standing still here and not talking. When I'm talking, by the way, talking is always also accounting for a lot of dB. And so when I'm talking, it can reach about 70 dB already. And we'll be looking forward when we drive the car. And more we're going to use those dB meter scales now also to compare it with other cars. And what is also interesting, just this morning I've driven the Hyundai Tucson, which we have recently reviewed. That will also be linked in the video description if you have missed that so far. So I can really tell the difference between the Tucson and the Tiguan here, because the Hyundai Tucson, Volkswagen Tiguan, and also the Mazda CX-5, really very good tips in the compact SUV segment here. And a lot of people are thinking about which one of those three should I go for. And of course, I can tell you something more about that one. The most special thing about riding the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan is that it really feels premium. Of course, a lot of that is already told just in the interior description, but also when you're driving it. If you compare it to the CX-5 and also to the Tucson, it's the most silent one to me, just with a subjective feeling, and also the dB meter. Let's look at it again. So when we're driving calmly, it's about 65 to 70 dB. So the sound is just as I would be talking. That's very interesting. And just, from the feeling you have, you're really very well isolated. To the engine, definitely. and also from everything outside. Especially it's very crowded here today again, of course. I mean, when is it not crowded in Berlin? Now we start our off-road test. In this case we have the 2-liter TDI, it's 150 horsepower, and of course also with the all-wheel drive combined, as it should be for the off-road track here. We got a separate off-road parcours. The terrain itself, the very surface, is relatively flat, but we have a lot of bumps, as we say in motocross world. Those are here, the whoops. The whoops. You understand that right. So like this, and of course always going slow, and I'm in the off-road mode. And the off-road mode, that means I have a little bit different characters. The stability control is set off, so I can do more with the car. That's, by the way, from the camera system, saying I'm really close to the ground in the front. And next exercise is here, that we have the car a little bit tilted to the side. And you always wonder, wow, how is it possible? How is the car not flipping over? And that's because the center of gravity of a car is kept relatively low, and that's why you can go that sideways without falling over. Increasing the off-road capabilities of the all-new Tiguan was one of the major focuses, definitely, because that will also, especially for the US, make the car more attractive then. And now is another approach, and this is really interesting because we can see it right here. We got some loose gravel on the top of the hill, and therefore we'll have a little bit more speed now, but not too much speed, because that's why, too much speed is never good in off-road riding. So let's see. Four-wheel drive, off-road mode is in. Off-road mode, more power is also distributed to the rear wheels than for this all-wheel drive. Let's see, it really looking scary. Oh, it's not really working. We were not really fast enough. So rolling down slowly again. To approach, maybe I'll approach it in another line, because this one is really drawn out now a little bit. Approaching a little bit different line and a little faster. So because we got two big ruts then here now, and let's see, give it a little bit more speed. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Very interesting. Yeah, you see, this was really a very hard exercise, and you don't want to go too fast because there was another cameraman staying on top of the hill. You have to react somehow, but for this very loose stuff, you really need some speed then. Very interesting, and also quite challenging, because most of the exercise in the off-road parcours, if you just go slowly, not so much will happen then. Here another tilting section, and we've already realized it on the test track on the ice that the off-road capabilities of the Tiguan are really nice, because the car is really calm in every situation. It really feels like a normal passenger car, and you don't need really hard, tough skills to control that one. Right, next obstacle. The interesting thing is, on the left side in the instruments, the digital instruments, you can see the turning degrees of the wheels. That's also helpful for off-road riding. Now we're approaching some stairs. This is again the optical warning from the area view. And in the area view, you can also see the vehicle faked from above. That's really interesting, because we can really see how we can approach. Because in the front, I can see nothing now, because the hood is blocking my vision. And now in this area view, I see that there are stairs. And so I can really very closely. As an instructor, really, very slowly, and then I can go down the stairs here. In that area view I can see. It's going crazy here now. You can also turn that off, that sound. That's the way. So that's really good for off-road riding then, when you don't want to be annoyed by that too much. Wow. Looks even more spectacular from the outside even, but of course here again the key is to go very, very slowly. Now we got some transverse exercise. That means first of all we go with the left wheel onto that obstacle and then with the right wheel. That again looks very great from the outside. And what is interesting is that they have worked on the rigidity of the car. They've stiffened the car up, and that was also one purpose for making it more off-road capable, of course. And the real challenge was the car became lighter, and at the same time they made it stiffer. And that was the real challenge. As for the chassis, I've talked to the chassis engineer about that one, and that was really the result for that one. And again, some transverse joints. It's really even more interesting because maybe we can also lift the one or other wheel up. Now, for example, it goes slowly, got stuck, but in the all-wheel drive could manage it as also the power can be distributed to each of the single wheels. Now we're trying to get in the flow. When you got some transverse obstacles, it's important not to stop, just to keep a very steady flow. So now I feel that the wheel is in the air. Again, another wheel in the air. It's really funny, but the main thing about the Tiguan is, even when you got those hard off-road situations, it really feels very soft and feels like a normal passenger car. So a very relaxed off-road riding, and you don't have that often really. To me, the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan is now on top of its segment here in the all-new generation. And if we take a closer look, the design has been refined. We have a very sharp outline, definitely, and that is a very big difference to the old model, which looked rather boring. But the main thing is really the interior that is premium-alike and can cope with the premium competitors. And with the non-premium competitors, that's especially the thing that sets the Tiguan apart. Definitely. There are other things that are missing if you take the Japanese manufacturers, for example. You cannot get a naturally aspirated petrol engine. You have to go for a turbo here. But if you want to have something different than the normal combustion engines, there will later be the GTE version. Looks also very promising, and I'm looking forward to test that one. As for the riding comfort in the city, it's a very calm ride. That is again one thing that sets the car apart, because it's really silent on the interior, a good suspension, and you got a quite firm ride still, steering wheel wise, so you get a good connection to the road, although it is comfortable. Also, the off-road features were quite impressive, because you feel like you're just riding smoothly, and on the outside you see it's doing quite some impressive stuff also in the off-road part. So we've shown you a lot of different aspects on the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. If you want to see it on snow and really going loose with some drifting action, then you should also check out our first Tiguan review in the snow in Sweden. That's also linked in the video description. So if you ask me now, CX-5 or the Tucson or the Tiguan, if they're all at the same price, I would definitely go for the Tiguan. I can say that so far, because just of this premium feeling that sets it apart. If there are major price differences, it really can vary from market to market. Then you have to rethink a little bit again. But I think we've presented you the advantages and all the things where the other may be a little bit better. So overall, you get a good overview on how this car is performing. Really looking forward also, if we soon test more of the new premium SUVs, how that will also compare. So one of the best tips here in the premium or non-premium both compact SUV segment. I really like your feedback on the car, on the different aspects we've covered here and of course on our video. And I'm sure we see each other again at the next Autogefühl episode with Thomas or one of my colleagues here at Autogefühl. Thanks for watching and bye.